Sometimes, silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room holds the greatest power. This is the story of a man who discovered that silence, not noise, became his greatest weapon for success. There was once a young man named Armin. He wasn't the smartest, he wasn't the richest, and he surely wasn't the loudest. In fact, people often ignored him because he rarely spoke. In school, teachers said, "He's too quiet." Among friends, they teased him, "Why don't you ever say anything?" At work, his colleagues thought he lacked confidence, but Armand had something inside him. He wasn't silent because he was weak. He was silent because he was watching, because he was listening, because he was learning. One day, a big challenge came into his life. At his office, his company faced a crisis. A major project was failing. The team argued day and night. Everyone shouted their opinions. Blame was thrown like stones. And Armand? He sat there, silent, listening to every word, watching every mistake. Some mocked him. They whispered, "Why is he even here? He never contributes." Even his boss looked at him with doubt. Armand felt the pressure. Part of him wanted to scream, to prove himself. But he remembered something his father once told him. When you speak, you repeat what you already know. But when you listen, you learn something new. So Armand stayed silent and absorbed everything. The day of the final meeting arrived. The project was on the edge of collapse. The boss asked everyone for solutions. The room exploded with noise, people talking over each other, everyone desperate to be heard. Then there was a pause. The boss turned to Armand. "You've been quiet all this time. Do you have anything to say?" The room fell silent, all eyes on the man who almost never spoke. Armand took a deep breath, and then, with calm words, he explained everything he had observed. He pointed out the mistakes no one noticed. He connected ideas others had missed. He offered a simple, clear plan that made sense to everyone. His silence had turned into wisdom. His listening had turned into clarity. And in that moment, the quietest man in the room became the most powerful. The boss nodded. The team followed his plan, and slowly, the project was saved. From that day, nobody underestimated Armand again. He earned respect, not by shouting, not by showing off, but by using silence as his strength. My friend, this is the truth. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is power. When you are silent, you see what others don't. You hear what others miss. And when you finally choose to speak, your words carry weight. Too often, we think success comes from talking louder, showing off, or always being noticed. But sometimes success comes from patience, from listening, from letting silence sharpen your mind like a sword. So, the next time you feel ignored for being quiet, remember Armand's story. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just have to be the one who listens, learns, and speaks when it truly matters. Because silence can be your greatest weapon for success.